Your daily dose of sports and fun. This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
I'm Mike Hebert, owner of Cantex Roofing and Construction. Every day is game day, and we'll get it right when it comes to your roofing, construction, windows, and mirrors. Call Cantex Roofing and Construction today. Together, we are one serving you.
Hey, good morning and welcome to Thursday. It is the Morning Drive on Lubbock Sports Station, Double T 97.3 and Double T 97.3.com with Jamie Lent, Jeff McGuire, Brennan Riker. I'm Chuck Heinz. We come to you this morning from our mobile First United Bank studio as we are on location today at the annual Chamber of Commerce Business Expo down here at the Civic Center, which is just mere yards away from the compound. So it's the normal route to work this morning, and instead of going straight, just make a little left-hand turn and come over to the Civic Center and walk in, and now you have an opportunity to take a look at the booths, Jamie, and get yourself some office supplies before the thousands that come in to shake hands and kiss babies and do a little business to business here today.
That's exciting.
Yes, that is exciting. So there'll be lots of folks coming down here today. It opens up at 11 o'clock this morning. We'll have a ribbon cutting, and then we'll go on until late this afternoon. So if you would like to come by, you certainly can. We'd love to see you here today at the annual Lubbock Chamber of Commerce Business Expo. Lots of sports to get into today, including the end of the baseball season, and what you hope is the start of a spectacular weekend for the Red Raiders softball team as they're in the Super Regionals. Today they'll take on Florida State, and boy, that's a historic day when you think about that, Jamie.
It's pretty exciting, no doubt about it. You're just 2 wins away from getting to the College World Series, which is even more exciting. So good luck to them this weekend.
Yeah, and I'm curious. I haven't seen it announced yet. Unlike baseball, I have not seen softball do this, but the curious thing is, who's your starting pitcher today? Is it Nigeri Kennedy or is it somebody else?
Well, unless she's not healthy, I would imagine it's Nigeri Kennedy.
I mean, that's the conventional wisdom, right? Because you don't have time to really mess around. You want to win today and put the pressure on Florida State. Otherwise, you've got the pressure on yourself to come back and win games 2 and games 3. So we shall see what happens today, as this Red Raider softball team will play at 6 o'clock tonight in Tallahassee. Florida State is the number 5 seed in the country. The game tomorrow is at 2, and then if necessary, game 3 would be played at 6 o'clock on Saturday. So that's a little look at softball as Jerry Glasgow's team is you feel like they're running on all cylinders. The only maybe a little hiccup is the blister that Kennedy suffered in the Mississippi State game on Sunday when Tech wrapped it up to move into the super regionals. Yeah,
so it did a little bit different this weekend in the fact that last weekend although you were facing a team in Mississippi State that had beat you during the year, expectations were that you were the better team and that you should win, and you took care of business. Sometimes that's the harder stuff, but you took care of business, and now you're in a situation where you're looking at a team in Florida State that's playing at home that was ranked higher than you, that is going to have the home crowd behind them and all that. So it's a different kind of challenge this weekend.
Tech comes in 48-12, Florida State 49-10. Somebody asked, why wouldn't you pitch your number one? Well, I think the only reason you wouldn't pitch your number one is if that finger's not completely healthy.
Right. She's not healthy.
That's the only reason I would say that you would not do that. Well, unfortunately, the Texas Tech baseball season came to an end yesterday in Arlington, Jamie, as the Red Raiders fall to Cincinnati. And I think you said it best yesterday during the Red Raider wrap-up show that yesterday's game was a microcosm of the season.
Yeah, there were things there that cost you desperately in the game that have cost you all season long, and ultimately, whether it be, poor starting pitching, whether it be, a couple defensive miscues that cost you unearned runs, or whether it be not hitting with runners in scoring position, it came back to bite you in a one-run game, no doubt, and that's some of the issues that we've seen all season long. The margin for error for this team was really, really small It was really all season long, and if you weren't playing at your best, you weren't, unfortunately, not good enough to win, and that's just kind of how the season went.
Down at 1.41, down at 1.63, crawled back to you get to 6-5 and had tying runs on base in both the 8th and the 9th innings, but just couldn't do it. And season comes to an end, and you finish up the year at 20-33. And I guess now the question is, what's next?
The off season.
Yeah, no, I know the off season's next. It's just how do you? I guess you just got to go back to the chalkboard, right, and see if you can rebuild and reload and recruit and kind of just take a look inside and say, okay, what kind of changes do we need to make, or other changes that we need to make?
Same questions that every team has during the off season. I mean, for the most part, how do we get better?
Yeah.
How do we get better? And you everything's up for grabs as far as I'm concerned. Is asking yourself questions about every aspect of the team and all that good stuff. So you're definitely full of questions heading into the off season.
Yates Flooring Center chat line is open this morning. Go to the Double T 97.3 mobile app for that. Also, the Visual Edge IT hotline is open too. That number is 806-771-0973. Boy, it seemed like every time the Rangers did something last night, the Yankees said, "Nah, I've got something to do just a little bit better last night."
Well, Texas led for most of the game, had a 3-1 lead late into the contest, and the Yankees just started chipping away and ultimately found a way to get it done.
Jacob deGrom started. He went 7 innings, gave up 3 hits, just 2 runs for him last night, and then walked 1, struck out 9, did give up a home run, but the bullpen faltered. When you only give up 4 runs in a big league baseball game, there's a lot of times that you're going to win. But man, for the Rangers, sure seems like they've been involved in a lot of these 1-run games, and for the most part, feel like you've kind of come on the wrong end of things, at least here lately.
Well, the back of your bullpen has not been good. Your 3 bullpen quote unquote aces after last night are now 1-10 combined on the season. So that's not an area that you're doing a great job in. And that's, you've gotten really good starting pitching. Mm-hmm. You really have. It's just unfortunate that your bullpen hasn't been able to hold some of these leads.
All right, they'll try again today. We'll have it for you as it's getaway day today for the Rangers out of New York. And we'll have the broadcast for you today at 11 with balls and strikes at 11:35. Yankees 10 over 500, and the Rangers are even at 25-25. We're just getting started here this morning, here on the Morning Drive on Lubbock Sports Station, Double T 97.3 and Double T 97.3.com.
This is the Morning Drive podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
Time for this day in sports history, 5/22/25. Forwards and backwards today. Here's Brennan Riker with this day in sports history.
All right, gentlemen, we'll start with 1884. One-armed pitcher Hugh Daly strikes out 13 hitters in a game.
With one arm.
With one arm.
Only
I could do that with one arm. Yeah.
Did he? Boy, okay, I want to see video.
Well, Jim Abbott, you remember him?
Yeah, but Jim had an arm.
He had an arm,
didn't have
right?
a hand.
Just didn't have a hand,
so
right?
what is he? I mean, clearly he doesn't have a glove.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
You roll the ball back to him?
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know.
I guess you could just lob it back to him
Lob it
and catch
back
it
to him,
barehanded.
yeah.
But man,
That's impressive.
comebacker?
Mm-hmm.
He's just letting that thing go through, I guess. Maybe that's how he lost the other arm.
Maybe so.
A comeback.
Can't use 2 hands, catch the ball. Grounder.
Well,
Okay, Brendan, sorry.
On this day in 1930, Lou Gehrig becomes the first to hit 3 home runs in a game as New York outscores the Philadelphia A's 20-13. We fast forward to 1968. Willie Stargell of the Pittsburgh Pirates hits 3 home runs, a double, and a single in a 13-6 win over the Chicago Cubs at Wrigley Field. On this day in 1991, NFL owners agreed to add 2 teams, set to be the expansion set for 1994. And then on this day in 2019, a Red Raider memory, the number 7 Texas Tech baseball team opened up a 5-1 lead through the first 3 innings and diffused a late push by Kansas State for a 7-4 win to open the 2019 Big 12 tournament.
Do you find those depressing here recently?
Very much so.
Yeah.
Very much
We
so.
need to put the kibosh on those things for a while.
No, it's okay to celebrate the past.
But it just seems, it just feels like that's where you were, and it feels like that mountaintop is so far away right now.
Yeah, no doubt. But, I mean, that doesn't mean you don't celebrate the past.
Yeah, I know.
Yep.
Today is National Vanilla Pudding Day. How do y'all feel about vanilla pudding?
I got to tell you, I'm probably passing on the vanilla pudding just because it's vanilla. A vanilla Coke, I like a vanilla Coke. I like vanilla ice cream, but I'd rather have chocolate pudding.
The only pudding I ever eat is in a chocolate pie.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. I've probably never tried vanilla pudding in my life. Or banana pudding.
Oh, banana pudding. I like a little bit of banana pudding.
Yeah, okay.
As a kid, I would go to my grandparents' place and they'd have snack packs. And they would have the vanilla and the chocolate pudding. So you could pick both, and I enjoyed both equally. And I'm usually a chocolate guy.
Mm-hmm.
All right, birthdays. We'll start with a Texas Tech birthday. Graham Harrell turns 40 today.
Wow.
And then for the Texas Rangers, Ezekiel Duran turns 26. And Julian Edelman turns 39.
Feels like he should be older than Graham Harrell.
Yeah, maybe.
Julian Edelman, just
Maybe.
because of his NFL success and how much, and he looks old too.
Then finally, on this day in 1939, Italy and Germany agreed to a military and political alliance, giving birth to the Axis powers, which would ultimately include Japan later on. Mussolini coined the nickname Pact of Steel after reconsidering his first choice, Pact of Blood, to describe the historic agreement with Germany.
How'd that work out for the Italians? Not very well, did it?
I don't think it did.
Yeah.
And that is this day in sports history.
Okay. There we go. It's got the little sounder there. It's time for our lucky local winning word here, Jamie. Okay. As we want to give you $500. Somebody's going to win $500 today from the Home Zone, making your house a home, and Double T 97.3. So all you have to do is go and enter the word Rebels to DoubleTSportsNetwork.com. Rebels, Rebels. Rebels. Like the Ole Miss Rebels. Like the Midland Lee Rebels, but they don't call them that anymore because people got offended by it. But Rebels. Nobody's offended by Rebels today because it could help you win $500, right?
There you go.
Right. Rebels. Rebels. Go to DoubleTSportsNetwork.com, and you could be a winner from the Home Zone and Double T 97.3. Remember, the more times you enter, the more of a chance that you have to win. And guess what? If you don't enter, you cannot win. Okay? You cannot win. All right. Yates Flooring Center chat line is open. Go to the Double T 97.3 mobile app for that. Or the Visual Edge IT hotline. It is open as well. Jamie, we get this. Jamie, thanks for broadcasting Texas Tech baseball all year. I know it has been a long and tiring season with all the away games early in the year. I hope Tech baseball can get it going in the right direction next year.
Me too.
Yeah, your lips to God's ears. Yeah.
Me too. And thank you for the thank you.
Mm-hmm. That's very nice. Men's basketball has a lot of neutral site games, no quality non-conference home games. Yeah, and you're not wrong about that. You know, they're going to play in this tournament in Fort Worth, and they're going to play LSU. It looks like the A&M game's still not going to happen, Jamie, with the coaching change, and with A&M kind of readjusting their schedule. I feel like those stinking Aggies are going to welch on their agreement, and they're going to use a bunch of excuses, and we're never going to play them in basketball.
Okay.
So right now you're going to play in this thing called the USLBM Coast to Coast Challenge on December the 3rd. That's going to be at the Dickies Arena. This is according to the AJ and according to John Rothstein of College Sports Today. The report is that LSU will be your opponent in that. God, I feel like we play them every stinking year. It's like, can we not play somebody else? They were supposed to take on A&M, but home and home, that was supposed to start last year, but the Aggies welched on that because they wanted to go play in this Players Era Festival name, image, and likeness deal. Well, guess what? Texas Tech's going to play in it too. I think that's what I read. But this was supposed to be, because A&M did that last year. They went to Vegas, and we were supposed to, play them in Fort Worth, and then, we're supposed to start this home and home. But now with the new Aggie coach, Buzz Williams left for Maryland. Their new coach is Bucky McMillan.
It's a cool name.
Yeah, it feels like that. It feels like he's doesn't know anything about basketball. Bucky McMillan. I mean, Buzz Williams, he knew something about basketball, and that's why he left. He left
because his name's Bucky.
Bucky, yeah. I mean, it's not very basketballish. Bucky McMillan.
Okay.
So Tech will play in the Coast to Coast Challenge, and then we've got these games scheduled at home for November 4th with Lindenwood and New Orleans. Lindenwood's on November the 4th, and New Orleans is on December the 22nd. And then we'll play Wyoming because, remember, we stole their coach, and we had to go there to play, and they're going to come here to play.
I think we worked out a deal. I don't think we stole.
We stole him first, and then we said, okay, well, we'll play you in basketball to kind of work it out.
And our listener whose son plays golf at Lindenwood will be excited that Lindenwood's coming to town.
Yeah. Maybe they'll let his son get on the plane and come with him. Meanwhile, the Lady Raiders are going to play North Carolina A&T on the 3rd of November, UTSA on the 6th of November, and Jacksonville on the 17th of December. They do have to go to Washington State and return a trip there, among other places.
The Morning Drive podcast from Double T 97.3 is presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
Jamie and I come to you this morning from the Lubbock Memorial Civic Center, where the annual Lubbock Chamber of Commerce Business Expo will take place today. Doors open at 11 o'clock today, and your opportunity to have conversations with folks, little B2B, business to business, or just, inquisitive, minds that come down here and want to learn about other folks' businesses, which I always find fascinating. There's always a story to tell, so look forward to seeing you down here today at the Lubbock Memorial Civic Center and the Chamber of Commerce Annual Business Expo. A little bit later this year, so we're here the Thursday before Memorial Day weekend. I think I kind of like that because, it's today's a day that we kind of force people to kind of be focused a little bit, which we need, going into the 3-day holiday weekend, because, tomorrow it's going to be a distracting day, with, getting ready for having 3 days off. So you want to make sure that you kind of get it all done today so that you can kind of coast to the weekend tomorrow.
Okay.
Okay. So look forward to hearing your stories today and having conversation with you. You can come by our booth here today. I'll be here from noon to 2. Okay.
Look forward to hearing your stories.
Yeah, I like learning about people's businesses and how they got started and why they do what they do, and how they try to improve it and what makes them unique about their business versus others around town. And
That's
then
good.
How we can help them tell that story.
That's good.
Here on Double T 97.3 and our other fine listing of stations. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
We're all ears today. I've got my listening ears on today.
Awesome.
Okay. Got a full pack of business cards with all the correct logos on them now. So
Well, that's good to know.
Yeah, that's good to know, right? It doesn't always happen, but it will today. So we come to you, Jamie and I, from the First United Bank studio here on the grounds of the Lubbock Memorial Civic Center. Thoughts, comments, Yates Flooring Center chat line. Go to WT973.com for that to participate. Also, the Visual Edge IT hotline is open at 806-771-0973. All right. So baseball season comes to an end yesterday. And you start
for Texas Tech.
For Texas Tech, and it's always tough when the season ends because you're like, okay, what happened, or why did it not happen, or it just there's a part of me, Jamie, that feels like that you just never got going this year. There was just something missing, and I don't know what that something missing was, but it just felt like you just could never get in rhythm for a period of time.
Yeah, I think that probably has to do with the fact that you just never got, for long stretches, consistent starting pitching. Mm-hmm. And starting pitching is so incredibly important in baseball. And I think probably, everything that, if you want to talk about starting, right, just starting, you started the season with a really, really tough schedule, and just kind of you feel like you never really got, put back together again, knowing that it was going to be tough and knowing that, you're kind of hoping through that first 9 or 10 games you could be somewhere near 500. And you weren't. And I again, some people would say, well, did you put together too tough of a schedule? Well, ultimately, when you look at where the team finished, it was too tough. But yeah, right. All it did was just let you know earlier that there were bigger issues. Mm-hmm. Right? You were going to find them out eventually, anyways. You just didn't sit around and wait for them. Ultimately, that you were going to find out anyway. I don't think that's the reason that you didn't turn out to be a good baseball team, because your schedule was tough early on. But so you don't start the season strong. You don't. You didn't start games strong as a whole. We talked about this. I think it was 26 games this year where you gave up a run in the first inning. You ultimately only played 53. That's almost half, mm-hmm. right? Yep. And when you give up runs in the first inning, you were 5-21. Okay, 5-21. Okay, so you see how bad that was, and then you weren't good on Fridays. And Fridays are what sets you up for the weekend. And so it felt like more times than not only were you not good for that game, but you were having to use bullpen arms that you weren't wanting to use, and it set you up for a struggle on the weekend. And so on Saturday and Sunday. So
it's just like one thing led to another.
It's like you never started well. You never started the season well. You didn't start series well, and you didn't start games well. And I think you're absolutely right in saying that you just never got going. And there were times during the season, obviously, where your defense was not good. There were times during the season where you didn't hit with clutch situations. There were times during the season where you had just extreme lack of power. We would go through weekends where you would have 2 or 3 extra base hits, which is just crazy to think about. And so all those things factored in, but for the most part, to me, starting pitching was the biggest issue. Just, and the thing about it is, there were games where you can look up and down the slate of Matt Cure, of Tyler Boudreau, of Zane Petty, and you can see really good performances from them. But it was 1 out of every 3, or it was, when one weekend one was good, the others were bad, and then you would have games where you would get decent starting performances, and then the bullpen would let games slip away. So it is a combination of a whole bunch of things, but again, I just think starting pitching is so incredibly important. If you were to ask me, Chuck, what does this team need more than anything? I think they need an ace. Or what they needed, because now it's over. They needed an ace. I don't think they had an ace on staff. I think Jack Siebert was really, really good in a bullpen role, and he was definitely your bullpen ace. But when he got the chance to start, he struggled. Now, if they had put him back into the starting role, I imagine that he would have been great, just like he was for you all season long. But I just think you needed somebody to start the weekend strong. And then I also think you need more power, you know. Would TJ Pompey have helped a bunch? Yes. But you were already a below 500 team when TJ went out with the injury, but he would have been a massive help. Would Parker Hutera being healthy all season long been huge? Would have been massive for this team. But, again, you had more issues than just losing those two guys. Yeah, but those two guys would have made a massive difference.
Yeah. But if I'd have said to you on February the 1st, this is where you're going to finish, you'd have said, oh, man, I'd be shocked, right?
Yeah, just there were guys that, I know a lot of people want to put it on the coaches, but the guys have to perform, and there were guys that you relied heavily on this year that you thought were going to be your leaders that weren't great, and ultimately that really cost you.
The Morning Drive podcast from Double T 97.3 is presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
Thanks for being with us today on Lubbock Sports Station, Double T 97.3 and Double T 97.3.com with Jamie Lent, Jeff McGuire, Brendan Riker. I'm Chuck Heinz. Thoughts, comments again on the Yates Flooring Center chat line. We'll take them all morning long. So one of the thing with regard to what's going on today, you got the Super Regionals for Texas Tech softball. Do you have a feeling for this at all?
Man, I guess my feeling is, I feel like I really want the Red Raiders to win. How's that?
Okay, sure. Everybody feels that way in town.
It's like the first time where I don't go in feeling like, gimme, we got this. Okay, I'm nervous about the blister because she looked human on Sunday afternoon. Mm-hmm. Okay? And so I guess I'm going to say that I expect this to go 3 games. My fear is that because she's not at 100%, ultimately that's going to keep you from being as good as you normally are.
Yeah.
So I feel like this could go either way.
I'm with you on that because, how many times do we hear about a pitcher having a blister and look, it just like you said, I think that was well said. Looks like she's human, but that just the normal recovery is more than 2 or 3 days. Yeah,
but for a normal human, we don't have the technology and
sure
all those stuff, the ointments and all the other things that they're using over there to get her ready. Mm-hmm. And I also feel like if, I know it was we got to win this one, we're only worried about this one kind of a situation on Sunday afternoon, but I would think Coach Glasgow at the same time would have thought, hey, if I keep her out there for another inning or 2 or however long it was, and this goes bad with her blister, then we're not going to have her in the Super Regionals. I think he wouldn't have done that. Especially being that you were in the catbird seat.
Yeah, right.
And you had the extra game to play with. I just can't believe
playing a little house of money there, too.
Oh, HMH Heinz over here. I think that should be my new nickname for you. HMH.
HMH, House Money Heinz?
Yeah.
I didn't hear the exact phraseology of how they did it, but when Choice and Snead were on the bottom line the other day, they were talking about, Snead was talking about playing with gravy. It's like, that was another way of saying house money.
I think you and I have a different definition of house money.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that you look at true athletes in the heart of competition who are so close to winning championships and all that and feel like anything is house money.
House money, yeah.
Yeah. Now, do you think it's a successful season even if they lose? Sure.
Yes.
Sure. Yeah. We're calling it successful. You've gone farther than you ever. But you ask that team, are they playing with house money? No.
If you ask the team.
Truth be told, we're playing with seller's money, aren't we?
We are playing with seller's money. Yes.
Okay.
And his wife's.
I don't think.
Mr. and Mrs. Sellers.
Yeah, I don't think when they ponied up that money, they were thinking, hey, it'd be great if we just got to a super.
Yeah, it's house money.
I don't think it was about winning Big 12 championships, Chuck.
Right. going to get to Oklahoma City.
I think when you made the highest paid player in the country 24 times more high.
Are we sure that's accurate? That's
something I read.
Yeah, the 50 grand was
something I read.
50 grand was a previous high, and then she's at like $1 million.
I don't think anybody was hiding that.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that you weren't thinking, it'd be cool to get past a regional. I think you're thinking, we want to be in Oklahoma City playing for this whole thing.
Yeah, when we get there, you want to win it too.
Yeah. That's what I said, playing for the whole thing.
Yeah, playing for the whole thing.
I just don't think that term fits this situation at all.
Okay. You know what this feels like to me, and you weren't here then. And this feels to me like when the Lady Raiders were making their run in the early 90s, not necessarily the championship year, but the couple of years before, because it felt like they were like on the cusp of greatness, but everybody had to be honest and go, well, I really didn't follow this team until they really started winning. But it feels like that snowball
is that way for everything.
It is that way for everything. But I think with like baseball or with football or with basketball, especially on the men's side, you feel like you've got some kind of degree of knowledge. But with softball, I mean, it's a completely different game than baseball. In terms of some of the nuances, some of the things are similar, but
sure.
But you're. I don't know that any of us are experts, maybe with the exception of David Collier, but I'm certainly no savant, okay, where I'm going to sit here and like break it down and go, but but it feels like the whole town's behind him and everybody's jumped on the bandwagon, which is great, which is awesome. And everybody's kind of on the same learning curve trying to figure out.
Like they do with every tech team that all of a sudden is.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just a little bit different because it's a sport that we're not necessarily used to or around unless you had a daughter playing it.
Sure.
Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that's why it's like, okay, well, let's see. This is not a house money, nothing to lose team. Yeah. No, I think you're right. All right, so the softball today is at 6:00, and then tomorrow 2, and then Saturday, if necessary, it's at 6:00 as well. Did you know that Jerry Glasgow drove to Tallahassee? The team chartered, and he drove his truck because he had some kind of hitting equipment. Is that crazy?
It seems a little odd.
It does seem a little.
To each their own.
I know, but I mean
have at it.
That's a long haul, and I did not go to that media event, but he invited any members of the media that wanted to ride along with him to ride along. There would have been a part of me that was like, look, let me go pack a bag.
And he was like, it was really just, a joke.
I was just saying that, right? I was just saying that. What do you think he would have done if I'd have said, hey, I got a bag in my car. I'm good. I have a go bag ready to go.
He would have been, all right, excited. Think of all the conversation starters we can get now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that's exactly right. Wouldn't that have been something? I think that would have been really, really something. Okay, 7:22 this morning here on the morning drive. The NFL yesterday, I think everybody thought the tush push was going to get banned, Jamie, but a couple teams said, "Nah, I think we're good."
What in the world? I mean, they're like near fist fights and, insulting each other and NFL owners getting into arguments. And, what in the world is going on there over the tush push?
Over the tush push. Rich McKay, who's the NFL Competition Committee, said, it's not disappointing for me, for our committee, for the committees that did the work. It takes 24 votes to pass anything. We don't set a low bar. But the Green Bay Packers were kind of outed as the team that brought this up. And Jeffrey Lurie used a push from Eagles center Jason Kelsey, who walked in the meeting room about 10 minutes before the session and made an impassioned speech in defense of the play. Goodness.
I I don't like the concept of helping or assisting, whatever you want to say,
a runner,
a ball carrier, and that used to be the rule back in the day. But, I mean, the fact that it's allowed now and we're trying to outlaw it just because it's working is silly. I mean, because there's no proof to extra injuries or anything like that.
Yeah.
So, as a matter of fact, they're not running at, fast as they can at each other and running into each other. Probably less injuries.
It's like a rugby scrum.
Yes. I don't know, man. I feel it's kind of weak sauce complaining just because it works.
Yeah.
This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
Next, Jamie's question of the day.
Jamie's question of the day on Double T 97.3 is brought to you by Connecticut of West Texas.
All right, my question for you today involves Red Raider football, and the question is about the newcomers, and this can be for whatever reason you want it to be. Who is the newcomer that you are most excited to see on the field for the Red Raiders? Can be for whatever reason. Because you think it's a neat position, because you think he's the best player, because you think his name is cool.
Okay.
I mean, whatever.
Wow, that really just opens it up right there. Because Howard Sampson.
Okay.
Howard Sampson. Because he's 6'8" and he's 340 pounds. And he plays on the offensive line.
That's a large dude.
I want to see what he can do. I want to see if he can pancake somebody. I want to see, does he get angry? And does he kind of stand up and, stand over somebody and,
Okay.
That's one.
All right, beat that, Brennan.
Kind of along similar lines, I'm going to go with David Bailey just because I want to see him hurt people. I'm really excited to see what he can do, especially with a player of his caliber. I think he's going to be really fun to watch on this defense.
All right, I think I'm with Brennan on this one. It feels like over the history of Texas Tech football, I think we as fans, we probably whine and moan about the offensive line. If you were to say, what have we not had over the last 25 years, what have we not had enough of? I think most of us would probably say really good offensive lines, really good offensive lines. That's been the biggest struggle. But I would say it's a pass rusher. It's years where you really got after the quarterback. And I think David Bailey being one of the best, not just at sacks, but also tackles behind the line of scrimmage, tackles for losses, all of that. I think he's just going to be a disruptor. And I think that's going to help your secondary so incredibly much. And so I'm all in on David Bailey. I mean, I feel like getting him was massive for the Red Raiders, and it's going to be a guy who just, I think you'll see the turnover numbers go up because of him, because he's forcing quarterbacks to be off schedule. I just think I don't know. I think he's going to make the biggest impact, and I think it's a guy at a position where we haven't had much of that. I mean, you just haven't had great, you go back to the 2008 team and you had two great ones there, but, it just doesn't feel like you've had great pass rushers, and I think he's one of them.
Lee Hunter's going to be one of those guys, too.
Yeah, I think he's more of a run stopper up the middle.
Just one of those defensive line guys that could be, make a difference. But you're right.
Yeah, I think he will make a difference.
Yeah.
But defensive tackles are not nearly as exciting as rush ends,
I was going to say the other guy and I don't know how exciting it's going to be, but Terrence Carter at the tight end slot is a guy that could be a difference maker, too.
No, you've had great tight ends.
You have. You're right.
It's not like that's something new.
Is Quentin Joyner going to be like another Marcus Allen or?
Oh goodness!
Or could he be?
Just made him an NFL Hall of Famer,
right?
Is it because he came from USC?
Yeah, right.
Okay.
That's where I was going there.
Wow.
Charles, what's his name? The running back.
White.
Charles White. Yeah. Charles White. Was that right? Charles White. Okay. I was going to say OJ, but we don't want him to be. We want him to be OJ on the field, not off the field. Quentin Joyner. But those USC guys. I mean, those running backs. Those are what number is he going? He's going to have 0.
0.
I'd like him to have 32.
A number.
32. Because that 32 is a good number for running backs. And we've got a 32. Jaden Morris is 32.
You have some odd takes about things that you don't like. Mm-hmm. I also am in that boat. I'm probably not as vocal about them as you are. I mean, I guess you guys know I'm not a fan of the non-matching shoes.
Right.
Okay, that don't match the uniforms or wear the school colors. That's clearly one of them. That's a get-off-my-lawn thing. I don't love athletes wearing 0.
Okay.
I think you should have a real number.
A real number. Okay.
But that doesn't mean I don't like him.
We got 3 guys wearing 0 right now.
I just think you should have a real number. Not 0.
Did the baseball
I also don't. I hated when they changed the rule that anybody could wear any number. I don't like that either. That's just old guy get off my lawn stuff. I fully admit it.
The baseball guys all wear the same shoes, don't they, for the most part?
I have not seen anybody wearing fancy shoes. I mean, in the major leagues, I mean, Garcia for the Rangers, I think he had bright green ones on or something last night, bright yellow, I can't remember. Yeah.
Hey, Cameron writes in this. See, I'm right about some of this stuff, Jamie. Cameron says this, as silly as it sounded yesterday, I now agree that the infield grass did look tall for Globe Life.
Okay.
Did you observe that when you were there yesterday?
I never thought the grass looked any different.
Did you go down there and run your hands through it? Go, yeah, sure.
I was nowhere close.
Yeah. Let's see. If a thought goes through Chuck's head, out of his mouth it comes. You're not wrong about that, probably.
That's what makes this show fun.
They probably need to temper that a little bit,
That would make this show boring.
Brendan he's such an even keel guy. He's so smart, and and you are too. And so I'm glad that we have you guys.
Okay.
I'm glad that we have you guys because
I don't know if I'd describe myself as even keel, but I appreciate the sentiment.
Well, I mean,
I think I have these tiny little outrage factories. Like outrage is probably a strong word. Mm-hmm. Things that I'm not a fan of. I tend to not let things bother me as much as you do.
Well, see, when I voice them to you guys, then it makes me feel better.
Yeah.
It cleanses me a little bit. It gets it out there.
Yeah.
It gets it out there a little bit.
Last night when I was driving, and I didn't scream and yell about it, but didn't get that angry. But I think I've decided the lowest scum on the face of the earth is the guy that when you are driving in the highway and it says lane closed ahead, merge left. The guy that cruises right as far as he can go, forces his way up at the front, where if he just merged in at the back with everybody else, the traffic keeps going. Mm-hmm. But instead he flies by on the right, forces himself in at the front, and because of that, everybody has to slow down behind him.
Yeah, that's not good.
I'm pretty sure that the Unabomber, axe murderers have nothing on that guy. That's the lowest human being on earth. If you're that guy, man, be better. Be better.
Yeah.
You are extremely wicked selfish.
Wicked selfish, yeah.
Wicked selfish.
I think you're probably right about that.
Be better.
Be better.
This has been the Morning Drive Podcast, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction. Check out our library of Double T 97.3 podcasts at doublet97.3.com.